Black Ox Testosterone Boosting Experiment. So we took the Black Ox and the Blue Ox testosterone boosters from Enhanced Athlete, which of course was designed, the formula, partially by Coach Trevor and I and Canadian chemist Trevor. And the net results of the experiment was we took a test subject from not producing testosterone, follicle stimulating hormone, or luteinizing hormone. His hormones were all crashed, to bringing him up to a normal level. This happened in 3 days, and his testosterone kept going up the longer that he was taking the Blue and the Black Ox. So now we're going to go into detail. We're going to give you the actual numbers and the actual protocol. So this person's name is Hadi. He was training at Super Training Gym, and Chris Bell and Hadi approached me and said they were interested in getting on TRT and then moving up to a steroid cycle. And I asked him what he wanted it, and he described his goals. And I said, well, let's do this, because he's a very disciplined person. It's hard to find people disciplined enough to experiment on, because we have to isolate as many variables as possible. So Chris Bell guaranteed me personally that he would follow through with the experiment and do everything that he was told. Again, a very rare find. Now, what we were thinking was going to happen is that he had low to normal testosterone, and that the Blue Ox were going to try and get him to a supernatural level of testosterone. We were shocked to find that when we got his first lab results, before taking any Blue or Black Ox, never having taken steroids or anything anabolic before, completely natural, that his testosterone, his free testosterone, was a 3.4, where a normal for his age would probably be about a 600. So he's got less testosterone than a female. His free testosterone is 1.3. Normal is 8.7 to 25. So as you can see, he's not producing testosterone, and the tiny little fraction that he is also not available for his body to use. His luteinizing hormone was less than 0.2. His FSH was less than 0.2. That's practically zero, normal being somewhere around 8. So he's probably infertile. He probably is not producing sperm and not producing testosterone, or functional sperm, I should say. So that was before taking the Blue and Black Ox. Now it fluctuated what his dosage was, but his average dosage was between 8 to 10 pills of Black Ox per day and 4 pills of Blue Ox per day. He stuck with the same diet, which was the carnivore diet. He did the carnivore diet for, I think, a year, 2 years, and he lost about 230 pounds. So he was already getting kind of lean. That may have something to do with the reason his body stopped producing testosterone, because if he had so much fat, his testosterone was aromatizing into estrogen, and the increased estrogen was shutting down his natural testosterone production.
Was his estrogen elevated?
His estrogen was less than 6, so his estrogen was low. So low estrogen, low testosterone, low fertility. Everything else on his lab work, other than platelets was high, and AST, liver enzymes, were a little elevated, but they always are for someone who's weight training every day as he is.
Yeah, and I would say if your hormones are ever lowered like that in somebody like this, I would go more towards, he lost 230 pounds over that year or 2 year time. And what happens is you start breaking your body down, almost like overtraining, whether he's overtraining or not. Your first thing that takes a hit, your immune system, this is all stemmed from your hormones declining. So your hormones start lowering, and then you start getting symptoms and problems, weight gain and stuff, and this is all associated back to the hormones. So it could have just been a thing of him overtraining, under eating, not getting enough calories, because his carnivore diet's kind of hard. So there's many factors in that.
All right, so then 3 days in just 3 days of taking Blue and Black Ox. He was also taking Slim pills. He had low dosage of Slim pills during this period. Because I just know, because he was fat, he has metabolic damage. He's on the carnivore diet, which is great, but I think we could have improved on that. So there is some debate that Slim pills, that's one ingredient in Slim pills, could lower IGF or testosterone, like that berberine. It's not one of the main ingredients, but this experiment ended up showing that the Slim pills didn't lower testosterone
And
all.
you have to look at it too. It's lowering blood glucose levels, that one ingredient. So what happens is insulin also will come down because it doesn't have as much glucose during that time frame. Insulin is needed for the IGF production. So when you look at it, you have to take it with a grain of salt. You're still going to produce it. It'll only hinder it if you're dieting really hard. And it's not enough to really show.
So 3 days after taking Blue and Black Ox, what happened was his total testosterone went from 3.4 to 11. He's still extremely deficient. His free testosterone doubled from 1.3 to 2.7. So he did not come to normal range.
So look at his LH, because it's a week. Look at his LH, FSH, and then estrogen. Look at that number.
Yep.
So say the numbers on those from his first one.
So his first luteinizing hormone was negative, less than 0.2. Okay. His follicle stimulating hormone less than 0.2, FSH and LH. And 3 days in, his luteinizing hormone was 1.2, and his follicle stimulating hormone was 0.7.
Okay, so let me stop right there and tell you guys, how I tell you, even if you took a steroid, it takes weeks for these things to kick in. Even though it's in your blood, it's everywhere. It takes a while. LH needs to kick in. Once the LH and FSH start producing again, that's when testosterone starts going up. What else too? Estrogen. His estrogen's coming up. So what would his next labs be?
So then his next labs, which would have been like 10 days in.
That's where the blue up there is.
Okay. So then his testosterone comes up to 54.2.
That's 1 week.
So, in 1 week. So we got 3 days in 1 week. And so we went from a testosterone of 1.3 to 2.7, so we doubled it in 3 days. And then from 2.7 to a 54.2 in 1 week. Mm-hmm. Free testosterone's 4.4. So we quadrupled free testosterone in 1.3 to 4.4. So we tripled testosterone in free testosterone in 1 week. Mm-hmm. A 300% increase, but of course he's still below normal. And then his estrogen goes up to 12.6 in 1 week. And before taking Blue and Black Ox, his estrogen was less than 6.
And where he's at, that's a very good thing.
So he doubled his estrogen, which is good because estrogen deficiency causes just as much problems for a man as testosterone deficiency.
Well, and two, this is just fixing the problem. We're trying to fix his problem. And by fixing it, it's fixing his hormonal pattern, his hormonal response. And estrogen is a key regulator with testosterone. So getting his estrogen back to normal, if we don't do that, he's going to go right back, just like if he was on a cycle. And then here you go, another week.
2 weeks in, we got testosterone up to 149.8. Remember, we started with a total testosterone of 3.4. So we went from 3.4 to 149.8 testosterone total. Free testosterone is right in the normal range. So normal range is 8.7 to 25. His free testosterone 2 weeks in was 12.1. And he started with free testosterone of 1.3. So he went from 1.3 testosterone to 12. It was over 12.
12.1.
Yeah, and his follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone continue to go into the normal range now. So it took 2 weeks to get his testicles functioning normal again.
Yeah, that's pretty comparable looking at HCG and doing that method in some people, so it's pretty nice.
That's the goal, to see if we can use Black Ox and Blue Ox to replace HCG, Clomid, and tamoxifen. Except for we still need something to block estrogen for the first part after a hardcore cycle.
There is that, for a hardcore cycle. There is a couple in there that are regulating factors.
So for softcore cycles, the Blue and Black Ox should be adequate.
And one of the ingredients in there that regulates estrogen, it's not that it just works as a aromatase inhibitor. There's a good estrogen and a bad estrogen types. There's many different forms of estrogen. And what it does is pretty much eliminate the bad ones that you don't want as a man and let some of the good ones go free, but it's still working as a blocker. So even though estrogen's going up, you're not getting these forms that you don't want.
So let's see, between the end of week 2 and the end of week 4, the follicle stimulating hormone stayed in the normal range, didn't increase very much. So his testicles were at full function for his body probably at 2 weeks in. And then his testosterone went up to 184. So his testicles start working normal 2 weeks in, and then the testosterone continues to increase over time as a result of the testicles working properly.
Yeah. And it'll keep going and going and going. So we have to keep continuing on this. So.
And his estrogen 14.9, which is fine. That's enough to not experience side effects, especially when he's sensitized to it after having low estrogen. So the way he felt was like a completely different person. He describes how he feels now that his testosterone is within the normal range. Remember, his free testosterone is in the normal range within 1 month. He feels like most men describe going on full-blown steroid cycle. His body is so sensitive to testosterone and estrogen because he's been deprived of it for so long that by bringing him up to the normal level for his body, that's like being on steroids.
Yeah, that is true.
So that's why he's experiencing like absolutely extraordinary benefits from the blue and black ox that nobody else, not everyone is going to experience because they're not going to be as sensitive to an increase in testosterone of this magnitude.
Yeah, and then just so, I mean, that's an old, how old is he? 30s, 40s?
He's the same age as me, 37.
Oh, so he's 37, so yet some people might say he'll have a better response to it. And then here's one, 29 years old.
Okay, so we'll do this. This is the 29-year-old candidate with normal testosterone. We brought him to superhuman testosterone level, kind of. But we'll do that on another video. So that concludes the Hottie lab work video.